All right, listeners, today we're getting seriously nerdy about building muscle.
Nice.
Like really diving into the nitty-gritty with this one.
I like it.
We're talking about hypertrophy
Yeah.
with some seriously in-depth research from bodybuilding.com, Atlas Bar, and the BIONEER.
Excellent sources.
So if you've ever wondered what's actually happening under the hood when you're lifting those weights,
Yes.
get ready because we're about to break it all down.
Awesome.
You know, for the longest time, I thought it was as simple as lift heavy, eat protein, repeat.
Right, the old adage.
But these articles totally blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much more to it.
Absolutely.
Like way more complex and way more interesting.
It's fascinating.
For example, did you know that there are actually 4 key mechanisms at play when it comes to muscle growth?
4 key mechanisms. This is true.
4. I felt like I was back in biology class.
Right. It's not just about one thing.
Not at all.
It's a symphony of factors all working together.
And to think I was living in blissful ignorance, only knowing about one of them?
Well, let's talk about those 4 horsemen of muscle growth, shall we?
Okay, you're speaking my language. Lay it on me.
All right. So first up, we've got mechanical tension.
Okay, I've definitely heard of that one.
Right. It's the most well-known.
And they've been lifting heavy stuff, right?
Exactly. You're challenging your muscles with a heavy load, forcing them to adapt and get stronger.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. And in this case, it's literally true. Those heavy lifts are basically sending an SOS signal to your muscles.
Like, help, I need to level up to handle this weight.
Precisely. Those mechanoreceptors in your muscle fibers get the message loud and clear, we need to get stronger to handle this stress.
So my muscles are basically drama queens, but their theatrics are what get them results.
In a way, yes.
I can work with that.
But here's the thing, mechanical tension, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so what are the other 3 musketeers of muscle growth?
Well, have you ever been pushing yourself hard in a workout?
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe even feeling a little burn?
Who hasn't?
That, my friend, is the magic of metabolic stress.
Wait, that burning sensation that makes me want to quit is actually a good thing?
It is. Your body is basically panicking a little bit.
Panicking?
Well, maybe not full-on panic, but it's thinking, whoa, we are not equipped to handle this level of exertion.
Okay, so my body needs a pep talk then.
In a way, yeah. That panic triggers the release of lactic acid, which gets a bad rap, but is actually a potent growth igniter.
Lactic acid, that's the stuff that makes me sore, right?
It's part of it. But think of it as a siren for muscle protein synthesis.
So like a distress signal that kicks my muscles into repair mode.
Exactly. It signals your body to start repairing and building new muscle tissue.
Interesting. So it's like a controlled muscle meltdown that leads to growth. I like it.
Exactly. Now remember those microscopic tears everyone's always talking about?
Oh yeah, isn't that what we're supposed to be striving for?
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay, tell me more.
That's our 3rd player mechanical trauma.
Sounds intense.
It's not as scary as it sounds, although it can feel that way the next day.
The dreaded DOMS.
Exactly. Delayed onset muscle soreness.
The ultimate reminder that you actually worked out.
Right. But those micro tears are real, especially during the eccentric or lengthening phase of an exercise.
So like when I'm lowering the weight during a bicep curl.
Exactly. That's when those tiny tears happen. But here's the thing. They're not the enemy.
Really? I always thought they were a necessary evil.
Hey, they're actually vital for growth. Think of it like this, those micro tears, they send a signal to those microscopic repair crews in your body, the satellite cells.
Okay, satellite cells. Those sound way more high-tech than tiny tears. Tell me more.
They're like tiny construction workers swarming the site of a muscle tear.
So my body's basically a construction zone after every workout.
Pretty much, yeah. And those satellite cells are the ones with the blueprints.
They're carrying around my DNA, making sure everything gets rebuilt properly.
You got it. They swoop in, carrying your DNA blueprint, and start patching things up, fusing to the injured muscle fibers.
That's incredible. It's like a well-choreographed construction project happening at a microscopic level.
It really is. And the more of those satellite cells you have on standby, the faster and more efficiently your body can rebuild and grow stronger.
So I need to make sure my microscopic construction crew is well-fed and ready to work.
Exactly. And that brings us to our 4th and final player in the muscle building game. Cell swelling.
Okay, cell swelling. That sounds a little less glamorous than satellite cells.
It might not sound as exciting, but trust me, it's just as important.
All right, I'm listening.
Remember that pump Arnold Schwarzenegger used to swear by?
Oh yeah, the legendary pump. Isn't that just about looking good in the mirror?
It's more than just a feeling, it's science. When you work a muscle, especially with moderate weight and higher reps, blood rushes to the area, flooding those muscle cells. Think of it like a hose filling a water balloon.
So my muscles are like balloons, and the pump is just inflating them with water.
Well, not exactly water, but you get the idea. That swelling actually signals to the cells that they need to grow.
So my body is basically freaking out, thinking it needs to bulk up to handle whatever I'm throwing at it.
You got it. And this is where things get interesting because you can actually leverage this knowledge to your advantage.
Okay, I'm all ears. How do we use this cell swelling phenomenon to our advantage? So chasing that pump in the gym,
Yes.
it's not just about vanity.
Not at all.
It's like a secret weapon for muscle growth.
It's like a secret weapon.
I like it.
And here's how you use it. To maximize cell swelling,
Okay.
think moderate weights, higher reps, shorter rest periods.
Okay.
It's not about lifting the heaviest thing you can find once or twice.
Right.
We're talking about really pushing those muscles, creating that burn, and encouraging that surge of blood flow.
Gotcha. So really feeling it.
Exactly.
So it's like a strategic flood
Yes.
to encourage those muscle cells to expand.
You got it.
I'm into it.
And this is just one example of how understanding these four mechanisms can lead to smarter training choices.
For sure. For sure.
It's not just about lifting heavy things, it's about lifting strategically.
Okay, so we're getting strategic.
We are.
We're being smart about it.
Absolutely.
But even with the best workout plan in the world, you still need
Yes.
to give your body the resources to rebuild and grow.
You need the building blocks.
Exactly.
And that brings us to, I'm sure, everyone's favorite topic, protein.
Everyone's favorite.
Right.
The building blocks of, well, everything.
It's true. It's the building material for this whole muscle building project we've been talking about.
Yes, and there's just so much conflicting advice out there.
I know. It's overwhelming.
How much protein do we really need? Like, what's the magic number?
So the Alispar article actually gives some pretty clear recommendations.
Okay, hit me with it.
They recommend aiming for 1.2 to 1.7 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight each day.
Okay, so for those of us who think in pounds, that's roughly 0.5 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight.
Exactly.
Okay, so I've got my protein number. But it's not just about chugging protein shakes after a workout, is it?
That's the biggest misconception.
Right.
Think of it this way. You wouldn't build a house by just delivering a truckload of bricks once a day and then be done with it. Right.
That would be a very messy and inefficient construction site.
It would be a disaster.
Yeah.
You need a steady supply of materials throughout the entire process.
Okay, so consistency is key.
Exactly. Consistent protein intake throughout the day. That's what's going to fuel those muscle repairs and maximize growth.
So I need to spread it out.
Yes.
Make sure I'm getting enough at every meal.
Yes,
You know?
exactly.
All right, I can do that.
It's a game changer.
So we've got our heavy lifting, we've got our strategic flooding, we've got our protein.
Yes.
What else is there?
Well, you know those high-intensity interval training HIIT workouts that are super trendy?
HIIT, yeah, I've heard of it.
Have you tried it?
I'll admit I kind of always thought of it as more of a cardio thing,
Sure, it's great for cardio.
which I guess isn't a bad thing.
Not at all.
But can those short bursts of intense effort really build muscle?
They can. I mean, heavy lifting is still the king.
Okay.
It's the most effective way to trigger those muscle-building pathways.
Okay.
But research is actually showing that HIA can stimulate some muscle growth, too.
Interesting.
Especially in those fast-twitch muscle fibers.
Oh, right. Those are the ones that are all about power and speed, right?
Exactly like sprinters.
So ditching the elliptical for some sprints could lead to more than just improved cardio.
You could see some muscle gains, too.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the science behind this?
So the bodybuilding.com article that we read had some fascinating research on this.
Okay.
And basically, it seems that those short bursts of intense effort, those intervals, they create this unique demand on your muscles.
Right, right.
Kind of like a mini crisis.
A crisis.
Okay, maybe not a full-blown crisis,
Okay,
but definitely a challenge
Okay.
that forces them to adapt and grow stronger.
gotcha.
It's like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but on a
Yeah.
smaller scale.
Right, those little mini challenges adding up over time.
Exactly. Plus, HII-80 is incredible for torching calories and improving cardiovascular health.
So it's like a win-win-win situation.
You could say that.
I like it. So we've got the heavy lifting for overall strength. We've got the HIIT for those fast twitch fibers and cardio.
It's all about finding that balance.
Right, because too much of anything.
Can be a bad thing.
And this brings up another fascinating thing we were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah?
Those muscle personalities. Tell me more about this.
Right. Not all muscle fibers are created equal.
They're not.
We've got our slow twitch muscle fibers, which are all about endurance.
True.
And then we've got our fast twitch fibers, which we were just talking about, that give us those bursts of power.
So it's like the tortoise and the hare of the muscle world, each with their own strengths and training needs.
Exactly. And just like you wouldn't train a marathon runner the same way you'd train a sprinter,
Right.
you need to target those different muscle fiber types with specific training styles.
Okay, so how do we tap into those different muscle personalities for maximum gains?
So heavy lifting with lower reps
Yes.
will primarily target those fast twitch fibers.
Okay.
But if you use lighter weights and higher reps, you're going to focus more on those endurance-based slow twitch fibers.
So variety is key here.
Variety is key.
Got to keep those muscles guessing.
You got to keep them on their toes.
I like it.
It's all about working smarter, not just harder.
Working smarter, not harder.
That's the key takeaway here.
I like the sound of that.
And speaking of working smarter,
Yes.
we need to talk about that mind-muscle connection.
Okay, brain training time. This is where I confess I'm guilty of letting my mind wander during workouts.
We've all been there.
It's easy to do.
It is. It is.
But why is it so important?
Well, when you're more present during your workouts,
Okay.
when you're really focusing on the contraction of the muscle you're working, you can actually increase muscle activation.
So I should be feeling it.
You should be feeling it's like you're turning up the volume on those muscle building signals.
Interesting. So I need to treat my workouts like a moving meditation.
In a way, yes.
Be present, be in the moment.
Exactly.
Focus on those muscles.
You got it.
Okay, I can do that. It's like there's a whole other level of fitness I've been missing out on.
There's always more to learn.
That's for sure. And we've got a lot more to uncover
We do.
because we haven't even touched on things like rest and periodization and tracking your progress beyond just the number on the scale.
We're just scratching the surface here.
Okay, I am hooked. Tell me everything. Okay, so we've got our 4 key mechanisms of muscle growth.
Right.
We've got protein, we've got HIAT, we've got those muscle fiber types,
Yes.
we've got the mind-muscle connection.
Lots to think about.
It's a lot. But there's even more to it, right?
There is. We haven't even touched on rest yet.
Oh, rest,
And
periodization.
periodization, that sounds intimidating.
It's not as complicated as it sounds.
Okay. It's basically just a fancy way of saying that we need to be strategic with our workouts.
Strategic, okay.
Remember those 4 elements of muscle growth we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, periodization is all about cycling through them over time.
Okay.
So, for example, 1 week, you might focus on heavy lifting to really maximize that mechanical tension.
Okay.
And then the next week, you might switch to lighter weights, higher reps, shorter rest periods.
Right, to tap into that cell-swelling.
Exactly. And you keep switching things up like this to prevent those gains from hitting a plateau.
So it's like a muscle-building mixtape variety. Keeps things interesting.
I like that analogy.
And it keeps those muscles guessing.
Exactly. Keeps them growing.
Now, what about those rest days? Because I've got to admit,
Yeah.
I have a love-hate relationship with rest days.
How so?
Sometimes they feel like a reward, like, yes, I earned this.
Yeah.
But other times,
Other time.
I feel like I should be doing something.
I get it, that feeling of guilt.
Yeah. Like
Oh.
I'm losing progress if I'm not constantly pushing myself.
But here's the thing. Your muscles don't actually grow during your workouts.
They don't.
They grow afterward when they have a chance to repair and rebuild.
Oh, wow. So those rest days when I'm feeling sore and tired, my muscles are actually working overtime behind the scenes.
Exactly. All those microscopic construction workers are working their magic.
Those satellite cells are earning their paycheck.
They are, so you need to give them the time off to do their jobs.
So rest days are basically a non-negotiable part of the muscle building equation.
Essential.
All right, consider me convinced. And what about sleep? How important is that in all of this?
Sleep is huge. I would argue it's just as important as your workouts and your nutrition.
Totally.
When you sleep, your body releases growth hormone, which is basically like the foreman of your muscle building construction crew.
Okay, so I'm guessing skimping on sleep is like firing the foreman.
Basically, you're seriously hindering your progress if you're not getting enough sleep.
So how much are we talking? How much sleep do I need to optimize this process?
Most adults need around 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night.
Okay, so I need to prioritize sleep.
It's not just about the number of hours, though.
Correct.
It's about the quality of sleep, too.
So like no more scrolling on my phone in bed trying to wind down.
Exactly. Create a relaxing bedtime routine. Make sure your room is dark and cool. And really prioritize those zzz.
Okay, consider me convinced. Sleep is officially my new secret weapon.
It's a game changer.
Now, what about tracking progress? Because
Yes.
the scale can be a cruel mistress sometimes.
The scale can be so misleading, it only tells a very small part of the story.
So what should we be paying attention to instead?
So many things. Pay attention to how your clothes are fitting. Take progress photos.
Oh yeah, those progress pics, those are always motivating.
They are. And most importantly, track your strength gains.
So if I can lift heavier weights than I could before,
Yes.
or if I can do more reps,
Yes.
that's a good sign, even if the number on the scale hasn't moved much.
Yeah. It's a great sign. Remember, muscle is denser than fat. So you could be gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time without seeing a huge change in your weight.
So it's about how you feel, how your clothes fit, and how strong you're becoming.
Exactly. Don't get discouraged by the scale.
This has been eye-opening. I feel like I've graduated from muscle school with honors.
I'm glad you found it helpful. Remember, knowledge is power.
It totally is. Now I have the power to actually optimize my workouts and unlock my full muscle building potential.
You do.
This has been an amazing deep dive into the world of muscle growth. We debunked myths, we uncovered surprising facts, and most importantly, we gave you some actionable tools to take your fitness journey to the next level.
Absolutely.
So whether you're a seasoned gym rat or just starting out,
Yes.
remember that building muscle, it's not just about lifting heavy things. It's about working smarter, not harder.
It's a journey.
It really is. And like with any journey, having a map can make all the difference. And that's what this deep dive has been all about, giving you the knowledge and the tools to navigate your own muscle building adventure.
That's what we're here for.
If you want to learn even more, and trust me, there's so much more to learn.
There is.
Be sure to check out the show notes for links to all the articles we talked about, plus some bonus resources that we put together for you. Until next time, keep those brains and bodies strong, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.
See you then.